You're listening to an episode recorded during the time Innovation Fuel was part of University Canada West. We are proud and grateful for the work we've done together, and we want to thank the university for being in our podcast. We are now excited to continue the journey of Innovation Fuel into its next chapter. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of Innovation Fuel. I am Gelare Farhadian.
And I am Dave Kiran. Innovation Fuel is a bi-weekly business podcast brought to you by University Canada West. We aim to bring new stories by entrepreneurs, business owners, and key industry professionals to our episodes.
So far, we have explored diverse business models, leadership issues, and how entrepreneurs are innovating and adapting to our current environment.
Make sure you check out our episodes at www.ucanwest.ca/innovationfuel. Yeah, so Galari, one of the things I think, is very interesting in the world of online is this whole influencer marketing. Can you tell me, what do you think about this influencer marketing?
Do you want to hear my story? When I was a new mom, it's a very few months and I couldn't do work, anything. And I was just watching all the influencer. I tried to be influencer for my friends about the baby products. You know what?
Okay. Yeah.
No one liked myself at all. I don't know how these people... But one of the products that it was a big elephant, that the kids or babies can hug them and sleep. So it would get a big hit, and I still can find my baby pictures in many different products and in Instagram that still use that one. It's a Nava, my daughter, will hug a big elephant in sleep when she was just two months old. So I tried bits. I found that I'm horrible. Maybe I'm horrible at it, or it needed special skills. I really don't know how people do it and actually earn money because, I was staying at home, couldn't do anything, and I was bored. I tried to do something that makes funny, but I found that maybe I'm not that much funny, or I don't know the tricks.
Something, I would follow you. I would buy from you. You could make some money from me. Okay. Well, something it's a very interesting conversation, and it is a very relevant. We kind of had some joke here about it, but when we look at this is extremely relevant in today's world, and more because we're becoming more and more connected, and we're becoming into this space. So, who we have today with us is one of the co-founder of a company called MuseFind. And they might specialize in this area. So, what do we think, Galari? Should we get this show on the road?
Yes.
Okay. Without further ado, let's ignite this episode today of Innovation Fuel.
Welcome, Andry. How are you?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's a sunny day. We've been having much rain the past couple of days, and can't wait to take a walk later today as well.
Okay, Andry, would you explain a little bit about yourself and your journey to be entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. So you might see, from paper, I'm like an accountant. I'm a finance guy, but I'm not your typical accountant. So I started off in business school, doing accounting, but I've never wanted to be, doing accounting partner or doing audits for the longest time. And I'm using my background in accounting to help me get an understanding better of how the business works, right? So after graduation, I worked for TELUS in their corporate finance team, rotate through different areas. And the more I worked in sort of a big corporation, the more I felt like I need to create something, and I need to be more flexible, and I can't be just a structure fixed, in terms of my process, in terms of what I can do. So then I started to go on, to different, entrepreneurship competition, startup events to get myself out there, to be familiar with, meeting people. And one of them happened to be Startup Weekend back in 2014. So back then, basically it is a 3-day event, right? With with like judges and competition, and then the winner will go on to the World Startup Weekend competition. So that's where I met my co-founder, and we didn't win that event. We placed close to the top 5, but we didn't win it. But it actually fuels us to work harder. And then what started as sort of like a 1 or 2 days a week becomes more and more. And then one time we decided to apply to sort of incubator program in outside Canada or in Canada. And then, long story short, we get accepted to New York. We left all our full-time jobs, and then we went to New York. And then, here we are right now. So it's been a blast, and I love to talk more about it and all the experiences as well. It's been about 5 years now.
So Andry, and we're talking about MuseFind, is the company that you went through this sort of incubation to an accelerator. Okay.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit more about MuseFind. What is MuseFind all about?
Yeah, so MuseFind has been evolving right from the start, right? So, but in essence, MuseFind is a platform where, we basically are the glue that connects the brand with the influencers, right? So we want all of them to be successful because what we, based on our customer discovery, all of the brands usually don't have an idea of how to work with influencers. They don't trust influencers. They think that, they're just going to take the money and then run away, right? And then on the influencer side, they just believe that sometimes brands just wanted to use them as a billboard ads or just like a channel, like a Google ads, but they don't really care about the personality, the value that they care about. So, we know that exists. So that's why we wanted to bridge that gap by creating a platform where people can be more transparent with each other and people can have more trust with each other.
Okay, and on this space, like, can you help us understand the difference between influencing marketing and affiliate programs? Because we do have a lot of platforms out there that are directed towards affiliates. But
Correct.
Can you help us understand the divide between the two? And then how did you find the gap in this market?
Yeah, so with a lot of the affiliate, the goal is on conversion, right? So what they do is they tell influencers, okay, if you sell this product, give a coupon code, right? Like the influencer name plus 20 at the end. So that's like 20% off. And then the goal is really to drive that conversion. So with influencer marketing, it's sort of like encompassing that as well, including that as well. But the whole goal, I think that what we believe with influencer marketing is first to get the awareness part. So sort of like the top of the funnel, getting the eyeballs to look at the product that you have, especially very important for small brands, right? So I think it's pretty much the same trying to get to the conversion, but the way you do it with influencer marketing, it's much more softer and much more sort of like leading you to the funnel. And then at the end, you can have the affiliate marketing to support it as well.
Okay, so thank you for saying that, but I don't get it. What problem you're solving actually?
Yeah, so we're solving the problem of the brand. One is not understanding what the process is to work with influencers, right? Like, do I pay them first? Do I send them the product first? Do I take deposit? So we standardize the process in our platform, all right? And then right now, because we're focusing on the SMB brands, we are basically giving them sort of like a CRM for them to be able to manage their campaign effectively. We give them some templates from the best practice that we've done so far, right? Having worked with almost 10,000, 20,000 influencers right now. So we give them some templates, and then we have everything in one place. So instead of having your Google Sheet, your email, all of the other documents separately, it's all like your influencer marketing one stop is in MuseFind platform. Right. So you can search, you can manage, you can communicate, and then you can track the results of your campaign as well.
So I like how you said CRM, because I think that helps to really connect that piece, because you're not going out and actually getting influencers for customers. You're helping them manage the influencers. Is that what I understand?
Yes, we are helping them through the technology. We used to when we were working with big brands, we have a team of campaign managers, like a customer success team that sort of manage the relationship one by one. And we use that learning from there is to automate a lot of those things into the platform. So right now, the brand comes in, it's all fully self-serve platform. The brand comes in, and then basically they browse for the influencers that we have vetted, and then they contacted them using our template, and then they communicate. And if there is any issue, then we jump in to help them. But most of the time, they're able to do it themselves.
So you connect the businesses to the influencer, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's why you're doing it. And so how you find influencers?
Well, I think influencers are on a wide spectrum, I would say, just like all of us.
Well, Larry tried to be an influencer here.
Yeah. I mean, initially, we work with a lot of mommy influencers. So baby brands and children's brand, because the kids are just 1 or 2 years old just for a year or two, right? So then they always need a constant new influencers, right? So I think depending on the characteristics of the demographic, we found that some to be more reliable and some to be less reliable. I think the mommy influencers are really, really dependable and truly reliable. When they say that they're gonna deliver the content by this Friday, they actually did that, and some of them even do it on Thursday, right? Like the day before. So reliability is really important. And when we work with influencers that are not reliable, we probably give them 1 or 2 times opportunity to redeem themselves. And if they didn't do as what they promised in terms of timing or in terms of deliverable, then we have to sort of like put their status as pending or as suspended for a while, right? Until they have a plan to correct those. So that's one of the ways that we did to create trust between the brand and influencer, is to have sort of like a review system where the brand can actually leave review for the influencers to say, hey, I've worked with you, very reliable, right? Just like LinkedIn, when you have some recommendations at the bottom, and just like any other platform like Yelp or Google, right?
So how do you go to find these individuals? Do you have like partners out there that you work with on, or is it this is something you guys have built over time?
This is something that we've built over time. Now, the beauty of our platform is that we are not exclusive. Like all the influencers that are in our platform don't have to sign up for our platform first to be able to be found by the brand, right? So what we do is we basically go over all our database using some machine learning to search the Instagram and to sort of grab the data, because Instagram has the API open for that, the basic data like followers, location, and so on. So we have that, and then we categorize them using our system, like what demographic they are, and then what their size, what their predicted cost to hire them, and then also their location. So in essence, we don't have to like have people signed up to our site to be able to show the results.
Interesting. So I think that's most of the teenagers and women using the social media, right? So that you have you have to find the influencer for teenagers and women, right? That's what you're doing.
Correct. Yeah, we basically, for a lot of the segments, from pets, we have some dog brands, cat brands, to baby brand, to basically we have also some I think skincare, right? And then basically anything, toys, basically anything under the sun, as you know. Yeah,
that is very interesting. So but your cost structure is not very clear for me. What is the cost of, so I think that you have developers and that's all, right? You have a kind of software or infrastructures for that one, right?
Yeah, so our cost is divided into, we have 3 teams. So one is the R&D team, which is developer, led by my co-founder, which is a CTO. And then the sales and marketing, which now are done over Shopify and Etsy most of the time, because we are plugging into those small business, right? And then the other part is the operation, which is me and one other team member right now, who's supporting the influencers and the brand with any questions that they have, any conflict, or any issues that they have.
When I look at this business, I think that you really need kind of partnership with small businesses, right? This is kind
correct.
Of your relationship is like a partnership with them.
Yeah, so that's why we are in Shopify and Etsy, because those ecosystem, especially these days, over the last couple of months, we have actually seen a really increase in signed up, because those two platforms has been really popular, right, among people, like people being creative about, doing all sorts of things because they've been at home, right? So they're creating things and so on. So we've been having a lot of signed up from those new customers of Shopify and Etsy.
And so, how does it work for do they download an app in the App Store in Shopify, or is it how does that interaction happen? And then how do you charge these customers?
So basically, they have a plugin inside Shopify and Etsy, where if they did that plugin and then they subscribe at $50 a month, then they would be able to integrate their product offering directly into the platform. So, creating some efficiency there. So let's say you want to offer influencer A your product. So instead of having to select your product, look at your product list, which one is you're gonna offer, you can basically integrate that product list that you have on your Shopify and then just basically choose, I want to promote this one, right, directly into the platform. And so that will be much more efficient. And then also, if you wanted to do changes to your subscription and stuff like that, you do it over that Shopify site as well. So it's like, your go-to place is Shopify, right? And this is just one part of your Shopify experience.
So I have a question. If a person will come to you and say that I want to be influencer, do you have a kind of guideline or help for that people to be influencer, or no, you just accept influencer that they have amount of followers? So what is the criteria of choosing these influencers?
We usually put a criteria of minimum of 5,000, ideally 10,000 followers. And then we don't only look at the follower size, but we also look at their engagement rate, right? So engagement rate is important because people can buy followers easily. It's so easy to buy followers these days. And even engagement, you can sort of buy them, right? So you have to look for quantity of the engagement. So we have about a minimum of about 5% engagement minimum. So what engagement mean is the total of likes and comments, and then you divided that by your follower size, right? So we took an average of their last, 9 to 10 posts, right? In a way that sort of like mitigate for anything that's like really high if they have a one-time hit on their post and so on. So we took an average of that. We also look at their comments using our machine learning tools to look whether their comments are real or they're bots, right? Because when their comments are like just like a smiley or you can tell on influencers' comment, right, if they're bots or they're a real person. So we did a lot of the cleaning that way. So then when we presented the number to the brand, they know that number represents the true sort of like cleaned engagement rate.
That is really great, because you are leading us for the following question about ethics. As you said that maybe we can have a fake followers.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so what kind of guideline you have to make sure that your influencer, they don't have fake followers? And skincare, I like skincare a lot, to be honest. I was watching a lot of skincare movie. I don't know, because they show that, they have a very beautiful skin, but they said that, okay, is it related to their gene? How long they use this as skincare? It's kind of question, is it, or they are not using it, they're just using it in front of camera? My question is always about how reliable this influencer is about the specific product. Some products you can just once, it's not expensive, you buy it, and if you don't like it, it's okay. But some products is expensive, and it's a lot. It should be reliable as well. There's people actually using it.
Yeah, like I said before, in terms of the initial guideline, what we do is we cleaned out the engagement rate and then data, so that we know for sure that the 3%, represent the real one, right? Maybe on paper it's sort of like 10%, but when we clean them out, it sort of worked out to be 3%. So that's guideline number one that we do. And then guideline number two is that because our platform is fully self-serve, we encourage brand to work on a long-term basis, right? So instead of just working for a one-time basis and then expecting the sales to come out from it, we encourage the brand to work on at least 3 to 6 months basis with them, right? We do have some sample contracts available for them to be able to use and so on. We're not involved in any of those contracts because we're just a meeting place, right? But what we recommend is to have deliverables clear, right? And then sort of the tone that they say is also consistent with the brand and also consistent with the influencer style of saying things, right? So because you can tell whether an influencer is natural at it or whether they're just trying to pretend to be it, right? So I think in a lot of ways, it's sort of in A/B testing for the brand as well. Like they're not going to find the best influencers for them in the first try, right? Some of them might work out, some of them might not work out. Just like when you first starting a company and then you hire people, right? That's your first experience, so you need to learn from that experience as well. But I think what is the main learning for the brand is that now they have a pathway, they have a like a guideline of what to do next and what are the steps after that. So that sort of at least give them some clarity on the whole process from start to finish.
Oh, that's perfect. So there's kind of engagements with between the businesses, and okay, that's good. Thank you for saying that. One more thing that it's about the behavior of the influencer and the way they talk means. Yes, they are selling the products very well, but because they have a lot of followers and they are listening to them, so they can influence them in other way rather than just selling the products. There's about the social bullying, for example. This is one of the very common one that influencer can affect that one. It's sometimes they can create a movement. They are very strong, and in terms of how much this can impact the businesses that dealing with them.
I think these days I think it's quite impactful because with the movement that we have right now, the BLM, and also a lot of the other movement out there, especially in Vancouver. If you know, I'm also part of the Vancouver Asian Film Festival board, and then we have a sort of like a team that basically help out to raise awareness and so on. And some of the influencers, some of the movie makers who are actually directors of the movie, they're also influencers themselves in their category. They all spoke out and they also help out in terms of creating a statement or creating a short 3 seconds, 5 seconds video supporting the initiative. So I think it's been used more and more, and especially influencers now are having more power compared to the traditional media, right? As having more authority, because we don't know at these days, right, with the media, which side are they on, which side are they not on, right? And that's why I think, even on podcasts too, right? Like I've been listening to a lot of the podcasts. You have their own influence, podcast influencers, and that just shows how people are hungry for authentic conversation and authentic, direct conversation from people in the field rather than a filtered one potentially through media.
Yeah, so I'm thinking more on the element of going now down the path of when we think about ethics and data and the sharing. And you talked a lot about machine learning, and now we have these sort of new things that are coming, like GDPRs come into play, and some of these things. And how does that challenge your offering, and how does that challenge your business?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to switch into a more self-serve platform. Right. In the past, what we did is we managed the brand's budget. So let's say the brand has $100,000, and then we say, okay, with $100,000, sort of like an agency model where you can get this many influencers and this many engagement and impressions. And the way we have to do that is we have to recruit the influencers, sending them emails and reaching out to them, following up, and then doing DMs, all kinds of things, right? And we found that is really sometimes to the point where we can't do that because of the GDPR and the can spam law. And then, then they will have to ask, where do you get my email and so on, right? So now what we did is we basically let the brand contact the influencers, and then we have a strict template where in the bottom there is an unsubscribe thing, right? So when they send something, it just automatically is there as a default. So influencers, if they don't like it, then they can just opt out of the email from, future emails from this particular brand. So we enable that. And we also give the influencers a chance to sort of like give us the feedback when they're working with brands. If they feel like this brand is really haunting them, then, we can do something about it. We can stop, the brand from being on our platform or things like that. So we have some guidelines around that. And I think in terms of privacy, we don't store any of the influencers like personal information or anything, right? So we want it to be very, very clear that we are sort of like a marketplace. It's just like a CRM where you don't, the information that you put in on there is information that you gain yourself, not from somebody else, right?
Yeah. And so, and which is a great segue into, and so like when we were talking here, and I really love that you kind of leaned into this, because it seems like you pivoted a couple of times here.
Exactly. Yes.
And so, can you tell us a little bit more about how these pivots sort of happened? And now, even let's take into consideration this whole COVID thing, which probably adds another dimension to your business model, because all of a sudden we're getting this big push to online, and because that's the only thing people can access, truly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, pivot has been part of a daily life, right? In the very first pivot, what we did when we went to New York, we came back and then we decided to focus on medium-sized brands, right? And then trying to sign them on. And what doesn't work then is that they are taking so long to make decisions. So some of them took 2 months, some of them took 2.5 months to make decision whether they can go with our platform or not. So we said to ourselves, we can't wait 2 months to get a decision. We need to be moving quickly. We need to gather data and traction. So what we did is we start working with a smaller size brand, right? Which then sort of like that's our first business model. And then after about 6 months from there, we found that these smaller brands are not really reliable because we didn't really filter them that much. So then what ended up having is influencers are disappointed because, hey, the brand never sent me the product, or the brand sent me the product, but I don't like the quality, right? And then we then have to pivot to a bigger brand, right? Which then that is our last product before our product right now. That is the one with the agency model where we really get our traction and momentum there because we work with big brands like Children's Place. We work with BCAA for their Evo campaign. We work with Save On Foods. And we work with a bunch of other U.S. companies, some Lucky Brand Jeans and a bunch of other brands. So that's where we learned a lot about the process. And that's where, from that pivot, we were able to lay down the process completely clear and standardize the process, right? And then after that, the reason why we pivot to the smaller business is because I think the smaller business can really benefit from that standardization. While the bigger brands, for us, the bigger brands started to ask questions about, hey, can I create this feature, one-off feature here and one-off feature there? And our platform becomes really stretched because we're trying to make everybody happy. And then it's sort of like not really scaling because of that, right? So then with now, it's easier to scale because one thing that is implemented across the board, everybody will benefit. And because they are in the same growth stage, then they all have similar needs compared to the big brand, which has different requirements and politics involved.
Yeah, but it's neat how you went through these processes, and now and one of the things I noted there, and I want to bring it out because we have a lot of listeners that are listening here, and they're starting their own business, they're starting their own startup, or whatever they're doing. Even students are starting their own startup, and I noticed that you realize something, that you're being stretched too thin. And this is where a lot of businesses, I think, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but I think a lot of startups get to this point that they're trying to be the jack of everything. And they're trying to solve all the problems. But what I understand from your pivot, you start to realize, I'm not going to spread myself this thin. Yeah. I'm going to realize and figure out how I can actually focus in this one area, do that really well, and then I can scale up from there.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And that really requires data. So when we did the pivot, we didn't do the pivot out of like a feeling or out of the, I think we should do this, but whenever we have that, and it's open conversation with our team member as well. Then we set up on a meeting and then decided, okay, if you think this is the next way to go, what are the data that we need to collect in order to make that decision? Right, number one. And number two, how much of the data that we need to collect until we're sure with that data we can go into this direction, right? For example, the very last pivot that we did with pivoting to Shopify and Etsy, we went out there and interviewed about 100 Shopify and Etsy customers and then asking them what are their needs, what are they struggling with influencer marketing, what do they like to see, And then if they have a magic wand, what would they create, right? And then we filter out the one-time, one-off question, one-off answer, or anything that is, on the extreme side of things. And then we know that, okay, there is something in the small business that's not being served right now. And that's how we decided to actually then pivot to the Shopify and to the Etsy of the world. Not without risk, because when you have big corporations, you have the steady cash flow coming in, you have much more brand, and then you can put the logo like everybody did on their site, right? Big logos. Nobody knows the small companies if you put their logos. But because we are very sure that based on our data that that's the direction that we go, then we basically take the leap of faith, and then the entire team sort of like supported it as well. So it's not an easy just like on and off switch, but it's a process. And yeah, every time there is that process, there's an adjustment involved as well.
That is fantastic. So I have a questions for startups, as businesses that they want to use influencer. For example, imagine a boutique truck. They want to start, they own their own business, and they need influencer to ask people to come to a specific place to buy their stuff, or going online to that one. In what stage they have to come to you and ask for help?
I think if they've got that product market fit, and they've got a demand out there, and they know that there is this specific segment of the market that they know that they have that need, but they haven't been able to reach them, right? Either because they're so geographically focused, or either because they don't know whether they should invest in Google ads or Facebook ads, or organic, or what they should do, right? So that is a stage where you need to have your product market fit first. If you don't have product market fit, your influencer marketing is not going to help you that much, right? Because at the end of the day, influencers are sort of representation of the customer that you're trying to target. So if they don't like what you're selling, if no one is willing to take on your campaign, even if some of them are paid, then there's something about your product, about the problem that you're not solving, right? So I always tell startup, get your product market fit, get the traction you need to show that there's a market for this. It's a large enough market, and then start to understand where is the market and how do you want to use the influencer marketing to target that market, right? Start small, start to be like niche in terms of your starting point, and then expand from there.
So crossing chasm, huh? Cross that one, right? It's exactly where it should come to you, right? Oh, I answered a lot of case studies now.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm always a true believer that, just if you build it, no one, people are going to come. I don't believe in that. And, you need to build something that is truly useful and truly what people want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Identify where that pain is and try and solve the pain. Yeah.
Exactly.
Our question here is, why a startup shop should come to you rather than go to influencer directly?
I think it's a matter of sort of process. If you are somebody that likes process and everything sort of like in one place and organized, and that's how you come to us, right? We're not like, we don't have a secret sauce or magic poison or whatever that can make you like super wow the next day you sign up with us. That's not us, right? What we have is a tool where you can be much more efficient and much more effective in doing your influencer marketing effort, right? So that's what we are. And then if our competition is not really agency, because agency provides the creative aspect of it, the sort of strategy behind it. We don't do that for $50 a client, right? So they can still work with agencies and work with all the PR agencies as well while using our platform, right? Or even the agencies can use our platform as well. So that's the beauty of us, is we are not sort of like trying to compete with agency, but we are trying to be in partnership with them.
Yeah, Andry, this has been excellent, and I think we need to have further discussion here. I think we need to find another time to meet with you again and have another discussion. But what we'd like to do is also we'd like to give our guests the final word, because we ask a whole bunch of questions, but maybe we're not asking the right ones. So if there's any kind of information or any question that we didn't ask, or you think there's some tidbits of information that any startup should know, our listeners should know, our students should know, this is your time, my friend. Pitch it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna pitch about MuseFind because you can easily you've heard about it the longest time. But what I can say is, as you're starting off, for fellow entrepreneurs out there, especially the one who's just starting out, when you're starting out, people will come to you, and the ability, you want to say yes to everything, and you want to just accept any opportunity that comes in. That is good, but at some point in time, you need to be able to say no, and that would mean saying no to not only like investors or anything that's not in your focus, but also saying no to customers and saying no to dollars to like a sale, and that's hard, right? But if there is a good dollars and then there is a bad dollars, right? The good dollars in your startup is the one that's really what you are trying to target through your product market fit. The bad dollars is the one that distract you from getting there, and it's actually causing you more problem and more unseen dollars in terms of your time, resources. Those are unseen, right? Those are the one that you didn't incur, but you incurred anyways because you are spending time. So just be careful, I guess, for everybody when you're starting off, to be really, really laser focused and talk to your customer, right? Talk to them every single day, really understand what their problem is, and if what you're building is really solving that. So that would be my my final advice.
Great words of advice, my friend. And again, how do our listeners get in touch with MuseFind, or get in touch with you, my friend, to learn more about what you can do for them? Or I know that you're very much into mentorship. I see that you've done a lot of mentorship things. So how can they reach you?
Well, they can just LinkedIn me, and then LinkedIn message me, and then I'll be able to help them in any ways possible.
Good. And what about MuseFind? How can we get can you give us a little plug for MuseFind there?
You can just talk to me. That's fine. Yeah, I'll get you to the right people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. How we can use your influencer for our podcast? Thank you, Andry, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Dave and Glareth, for having me here.
Andry, it's been a great discussion. Really enjoyed all the things of learning, and there's a lot of great knowledge that's coming out of this. To all our business owners out there, we have a fleet of enthusiastic and knowledgeable students here at UCW that can help you with your business through our capstone project or virtual internship, because we don't have internships right now, but our virtual internship. So reach out to us. We're here to listen. We'd love to hear from you. And if you think you have a really good story that you think our students or our listeners can really benefit from, like Andry and MuseFind here, I think there's a lot of knowledge that we can share. Instead of us reinventing the wheel, let's get that information out there. Reach out to us at www.ucanwest.ca/innovationfuel.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andry. I hope you all enjoyed our conversation today. Turn in next week for a whole new episode.